Hello and welcome to GenderEd. Today I have a guest. I wouldn't call her a guest, actually, she's a dear friend. We've known each other for the last more than a decade, actually. She is Uthara Narayanan. She is the co founder and managing trustee at Buzz India. She's been a development sector professional since 2009, specializes in grassroots community engagement, government policy review, policy development assessment, gap analysis, process improvements, and advocacy. Someone who calls herself a cost management and accountant in training. She also holds a degree in commerce and diploma in youth in development. Um, and we, I think, know each other since when I was a young mother. We bonded on many things, especially around ensuring there are more women in senior management in different types of workplaces, and also what it means to be a woman leader and what it means to lead in the first place. So happy to connect with you, Uttara.
Likewise,
Thank you
thank
for
you for having me.
agreeing. Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to this conversation. So actually, like you shared, let's have this as a discussion. Maybe we start off with this journey from being a cost accountant to now being a leader in the social sector with a dedicated focus on financial inclusion for women at the last mile.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And you're right, we've known each other for more than a decade. And I think we've seen each other's journey also. And I've been very inspired by your journey, Varsha, I should say that, of what you have accomplished, even with all that you do, whether it's at home, outside home, at work. So thank you for having me. I became a cost accountant more as a degree, saying, okay, I need to get something done. So I became a commerce graduate and a cost accountant. But I knew from the very beginning, as a young child also, I knew I wanted to be part of the social space. I didn't know how. I guess at that time I felt I should be a IAS officer. And I did try the civil services exam, but I didn't go through. I guess the next best thing was to join the NGO. I worked in another organization for a couple of years, but the calling to work with women on poverty was very strong. I'm a cost accountant. Also, my father was a banker. So there was a lot of talk on finances at home. I, from a very young age, understood money. And it felt like when I went to the villages initially to just talk to the women to understand what do they need, what I sensed was that the understanding about money was missing. The mindset on money was also coming from a very scarcity mindset. So how do we change that became like a quest for me. That's how Buzz Women started, along with two co-founders, by the way, not just me. But in that process, I also realized money is just one aspect in their life. Though they also make it to be a bigger aspect. I think as a civilization, we have done that. We, being a monetized economy, we make money to be the biggest part. But the women and I soon realized that there is a lot more, there are many more aspects to life which also need intervention. So that's how Buzz Women has grown beyond the financial inclusion part. But yes, the core, the beginning of it begins with cash.
Yes. So for people who don't, I know the journey of Buzz Women. But for people who don't know, maybe in a nutshell, share what all that you do, even beyond financial inclusion. What is it that the organization is doing?
Buzz Women is enabling rural women who are marginalized to build their lives, craft their own lives. And while crafting their lives, what they need is enabling them with capabilities and leadership. And the capabilities and leadership we are building in, we call it a 5C model in 5 aspects. So it is built in cash, community, care, confidence, and climate. These are the aspects in any rural woman's life that she faces every day. So when we say cash, it's about financial freedom, how women can build their own financial freedom. And it could mean either I already have, I'm earning money through wages or business. How do I increase it, or how do I save better? How do I safeguard it? How do I invest it? How do I make it bigger? So it is financial literacy initially, and also entrepreneurship development. The second aspect is community. How do you use the social capital in the villages among these women so that they can start using it for not just their personal development, but also the community's development? Climate came in because we realized 70% of the women are farmers in rural India, and they are struggling to increase their yield, sustain their yield. And what we realized was climate change was affecting them on a day to day basis. So, if they understand, if we de jargonize it and they understand the nuances of it and how to counter it, how to take climate positive action, that is where climate comes in. Care is about personal care, nutrition. As you also know, women struggle a lot with anemia. There's malnutrition in the villages. So, how do you take care of nutrition, healthcare, understanding health itself, and also mental health in that process? Confidence is at the core of it. Confidence is about believing in your own abilities. Because of social conditioning and how, as a society, we are, women always come from a place of lack of self belief, self worth, self confidence, saying, I don't know enough, I don't know how to do this, I can't do this alone. So, we feel that if you look at an iceberg model, what we see is poverty of cash, confidence, and collectivism in a way. And the patriarchal structures, poverty systems are these events and structures that are underlying. But at the core of it is these mental models that women carry about themselves and what others also carry about the women. And Buzz Women exists to shake up these mental models that the women carry, and then women themselves are able to shake it in their systems. So, in a way, you can say it's a triple ripple model. It begins with the women. Women are driving the change. The interventions are directed towards the women because they then build their capabilities and leadership. The second ripple is that the collective changes, the community changes. And the third ripple is the systemic change. That patriarchy and poverty itself shifts when it begins with the women and it goes outward.
Right. Interesting. And yes, I have seen this model work in the last so many years. Um, is there one particular story that comes to your mind, right, around any of these women that you work with that has actually changed or shifted your own mental model?
Wow. Every single day it happens. Yeah. Every single day. I just cannot believe the kind of resilience these women hold. Yes, you are on paper building an intervention, you write the curriculum, you sort of, discuss experts, all that. But when you actually see it in action, you are wowed every single time saying, oh my God, I can't believe that women have gone through so much and they challenge the system beyond your imagination to actually bring themselves out. And that makes me believe. So it's been 13 and a half years, by the way, of this starting. And even today, every morning I wake up, it feels like fresh day. I am excited about doing this. And it's only because of what I see that changes in the women. Many stories. I mean, even on our YouTube channel, you'll see, on the website, the blogs, you'll see. But I will go back to the first story because it still is relevant. It still makes sense to me. Is Devama. So Devama, when I met her, she asked me for 5,000 rupees. She said, give me this money, I'm in debt. She was rotating her debt. So take money from one person, give it to the other, and then from the next organization, take again money and give it to the third person. Abusive ecosystem at home, alcoholic husband was beating her up every day. She said, I'm not able to work as much as I would like to. I don't know what business to start. So that cycle was continuing for her. And I said, you know what? I can't give you money because we don't, as an organization, we are not about giving money. We are about giving knowledge and tools. I said, come to the training, let's figure out. And she was the first person I met and also one of the first few participants who was part of the program. Within the 6 days of that intervention, and it happened over a few weeks that we did, the things that she did was, one, she sat her family down, her mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, and said, this is what is happening with my husband and me. I really need your help. They helped her, took him to a de-addiction center to de-addict him. So this is about the confidence, right? To believe in your ability. The community, belief in that community, saying, I need to seek help. I can't do this alone and I need to talk about this. That's others see, community. The third thing was she realized that she didn't know the income expenditure, like how much was income, how much was expenditure. She was already a tailor, by the way, but she was not barely making her ends meet. She realized there was a scope to start a shop in front of her house itself. So she just extended the front of her house, front porch, and just put up a shop there. The other thing is, a lot of people think that you have to start a business, you need a big loan and things like that. One of the things we say at Buzz is start small. So she started very small, just with 500 rupees. Can I just get 10 products, start trying selling it? And then once that is done, from that business income and profit itself, can I reinvest into the business? She slowly started doing that. She also told one thing. She said, I realized I was the problem in my SHG. She said, I'm the one getting angry. I would shout at people. If people came late to repay, I would say, what is this? And I would shut the door on them. So one of the sessions is on communication. That how do you better your own communication so that people understand where you're coming from? And she reignited her SHG group. They started saving better as a group. The first 3 years when this happened, they had saved 1 lakh rupees as a group. And then they said, okay, can we, yeah, they said, can we loan this money to others in the community? And they started doing that, generating interest out of it by loaning that money. So it's like a mini bank in a village that they were running. So, like this happened over a couple of years, by the way. She understood a lot of it and started making those changes. But in 3 years' time, she was able to shift her life. And in that process, whether it's about, so it started with money as a mindset. She was asking me for money at the end of 6-day training. She said, I don't need your money. I have figured out where I can get the money. And some of it is already me. I just need to know how to move it around. Beginning to understand this as a fundamental in your life, beginning to understand that you are not, yes, you are helpless sometimes, but most times there is help available. Ask for it. Maybe the first person you ask for doesn't give it, but talk to people to find out how it can be helped, how the abusive system that she was in, how she can get out of that. The third thing was using that collective power in the village. How can we all together save more money? This is what is needed as a group of 10 women. So making these smaller changes over 3 years, like I said, this is the first story, but even today it is as relevant for us in the work that we do at Buzz Women.
Awesome. So from Devamma's story to the general sort of emotion that most women have, pertaining money or even financial management. In the last 13 and a half years of, with Buzz Women, have you seen that shift? Is there a shift from fear of the unknown connected with money and financial management? Has there been a shift? Or whenever you enter a new population or in new villages, does it continue?
In newer villages, it definitely continues. That's why I said the story is still relevant, because we started in Tumkur and now we have reached till Raichur in Karnataka. I was in Raichur beginning of this week, and the same conversations. The first time you enter a village, they'll always ask saying, will you give us free money? Will you give us interest-free loans? Everybody asks for money because they think anybody new coming from outside, especially if you're from the city or an organization, they say, I can ask for money. It's that mentality, entitlements, receiving mentality that is there, right? Also, they themselves have been told, no, you can't do this. You're not capable of it. Giving entitlements, I feel, makes them more disempowered. Now, this doesn't mean we don't need entitlements. I think it's also about how do we match it with capability building. That is also something that we need to think about. So to answer your question in short, even now, the mentality is of scarcity, of fear around money, insecurity. It still continues in any new geography that we go to.
Okay. What about the geographies that you have been around for some time now? Has that sentiment of fear gone away, and how have they managed to percolate it down the community? Since community is one of the core C's of your framework.
Yeah. So it has definitely shifted or become better, where they don't ask for money; they're constantly looking for ways to increase their money. To say, what can we do better? How can we save better? How can we invest better? How can we earn more? That is definitely there. But that, at least among the women, so we reach, by the way, directly only 10% of population in a village. The rest of it is reached by the community anchor. There is a community anchor who's a volunteer in the village, who's identified by the women themselves. And we train them to train other women. So what we find, it's a slow process. So in the last decade or so that we've been there, this model also, by the way, of women training other women came up only the last 3 or 4 years. Initially, we were also on the mode of, okay, we are going to reach the scale. And we also realized that we need something else, a different model if you have to scale faster. And the model that we
Right.
came up with was volunteer rural women leaders who can do this. So
Hmm.
it has shifted in that 10% of the population, yes, but the leader is still reaching the rest of the population. So it is a slow
Right.
shift that we can see is happening.
Right. Okay. So one question that I had was how do we then make this model work for younger women, right? Who are starting because they are the people who, like 13 years ago, I'm very sure that none of us had digital payments. So now you have smartphone are not as not, I mean all not everybody has them. I mean especially women in the rural areas, but the spread has become wider, right? The accessibility has somewhat increased, but has that helped or has that deepened uh, financial management issues?
So going back to what you asked beginning, right? We have younger women also in the network. So we are
Mm.
open to women from 18 years to 80 years. There is no difference. It's a volunteer program. We go into a village, ask the Anganwadi teacher to announce it. Whoever comes joins. The
Mm.
average age of the volunteer in our network, the leaders, are around 37 years. So you should also know
Okay.
in rural areas, when a woman is initially married, she doesn't have as much access to money. So
Mm.
she's herself not thinking so much about money because there is father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law,
Yes.
husband, the
Families.
family finances. Only when the children grow up a little more and she starts handling money, maybe
Mm.
mother-in-law has passed away or not able to, one of that scenario happens, that's when women start looking at it. So we
Mm.
find that even if you train younger girls, women on this, they don't really use it and sometimes they even forget about it.
Okay.
You need to practice it, right? And for that, you need to
Mm.
be in the system. That's why I don't know if you know, a lot of people say, please do an MBA after you've worked for a couple of years, because then you will understand the real value of it. So it's a
Right.
similar case. We are also finding the same thing. Younger women say, oh, this is all great, but I have no access. I have no money, never comes to my hand, and I can't leave my home to earn because I have very young children.
Mm.
Very rarely younger women work in rural areas
Mm.
because childcare is not easy.
Yes.
Zero
Yeah.
to, I mean, childcare in Anganwadis is only after 3 years that you can leave the child. Even
Mm.
then, it is still not like women themselves don't go out to work.
Yeah.
So I would say, so on that part of the age group, we are reaching younger women, but we find that the value is more for middle-aged women. On
Mm.
the
Okay.
second point of digital penetration, yes, it's very high as compared to before, but it's still at 50% probably in rural areas.
Mm. Mm.
Um, there is a lack of digital trust.
Mm.
Even if you have access to a phone, smartphone, data, etc., there is always a question: should I do this? Will this be a fraud? Will something happen? So, a lot of people are not using it. We are actually promoting it. We are giving trainings on digital payments as well for especially entrepreneurs to use it. The question is, even if you have access to use it, the businesses around you should be accepting it. So that's step one. So we are trying to target the businesses. But your wages, if you are a laborer, your wages are still coming in cash. Very rarely wages are coming in into the bank account. Second, even if the wages come in cash, for me to lose 1 day's wage to go to the bank and deposit it is not really feasible. So there are, I think it's an issue where a lot of things are connected. It's not just to say if you have a phone, if you know how to use it, and if you have digital trust, you will use it. Not really. That's not what we are finding.
Okay. The reason why I shared that was because, you said that your model shifted because you wanted to make it much more scalable, right? In terms of the work itself. So one aspect where in terms of policy, if you were to, let work with the government, right? What could be the one thing that you could say to sort of ensure that there is this financial management, a non-fear of money, and understanding of money among younger women wanting to enter into younger women as they grow? What would be that one policy mm, shift that is required, right, at a younger age? So for example, I would say it would be great if financial literacy is there as part of school education, and
Yes.
the government can sort of incentivize women when they are starting in class 10th and 12th and moving forward, right? And start that so that they understand the banking process, they understand what what all of the financial management system is all about. So is there anything such policy shift that you can think of to, we keep talking about demographic dividend, so how do we capitalize on that?
Very true. So I definitely agree with you that education system has to relook at what we are teaching kids. Financial literacy right now, it's a life skill. You need to learn it to have a better life. So that has to be not just in school, it can also be done in colleges. It can be part of any curriculum. Even if you're an engineering or a science student, it can be one aspect that can be taught to children, students. The other thing is, I feel that banking system has to be also relooked at. Doorstep banking, there have been talks about it, there are some policies around it, but I don't think we're doing enough. There is so much that is possible, because even now transport facilities from the villages to the town it's like one bus a day. Not many people are willing to go to the bank to get their work done. That's why the post offices came up, of course. But if we can increase the whole banking correspondent and make it financially viable, because a lot of people don't take it up because it's not financially viable for them to become a banking correspondent. So how do we strengthen that system so that there are more savings and investments happening from the base of the pyramid? And I think it is possible, especially in a state like Karnataka. See, every state is different, so we'll have to look at it from a state's perspective also. In Karnataka, there is some amount of money available with the women, with the rural communities, and we need to see how that can be leveraged, that can be used, and also a little more, I would say, dissemination of information and knowledge through media on good financial practices, positive financial behavior will also be very useful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be done. I think there's a lot that people have spoken about. This is about enabling more policy shifts towards ensuring true financial inclusion happens at the last mile. I'll make a shift here right now to your journey as in the social sector. And as a leader, woman leader in the social sector, just to understand what has your journey been like over the years? What have been the pivotal areas where you think you learned, and it also sort of gave you a sense of not everything is great or awesome within the social sector? What needs to change?
Wow, that's a lot. A lot of things have changed. I think when I started, I was in my late 20s and early, when I was 30s, when I started Buzz. When I look back, I think I was pretty naive. The way I dealt with the team, the ideas I had, probably the ideologies I had about running an organization, etc. I have learned by falling multiple times. I've been very privileged, I would say, by getting good feedback from the team themselves. I have had amazing mentors and well-wishers who have given me advice on how to do this. So if we have grown from being one to now 220 team members, it's only because of multiple people who have contributed to this. And I mean, if you ask, multiple moments are there, but I don't know if it's just I can just pick one, because it's been an evolution, not really a revolution that happened. One definitely is how I learned in my 30s that I wanted to be this democratic leader, consensus building all the time, bringing all team members together for any decision, and decisions would be delayed all the time. And that made me realize that no, I just need to take some decisions by myself. When I'm leading, it is my accountability and responsibility to take decisions and own it. I cannot expect that the team will agree on everything, and also the team's viewpoint, or what do you call vantage point, is different. So that was early on itself. I realized that situational leadership is required. Some cases you have to be autocratic, in some cases you have to be democratic. I also realized, I guess, as we moved forward, that I was a terrible manager in my 30s. Okay, bad man, not a terrible, but a bad manager in my 30s. I think it also comes from a lot of a founder syndrome. As a founder, you have a certain way of working, a certain mindset, and you just expect and think that everybody's like you. And I lost a lot of teammates because of that. And then I realized that, okay, this is not what it is. Everybody is different. Everybody's here with their own agenda and what they want to accomplish. How do I change my style of leading, and more than leading, managing people? Because leading, I think, came very natural and easy to me. Managing is a learned skill that I have been incorporating, and it is very disciplined way that I do it. The weekly reviews, how I approach those reviews, what do I give feedback on, what do I hold back. Learning those nuances has been definitely something. And the other is, of course, that running an organization is not just fun. There are moments of fun. I would say 40-50% of the work maybe is something that I love doing, but there is 50 to 60% of work which is not something that I enjoy doing, but I have to get it done because you are in a society, you can't, it's not chaos, it is organized, there is administrative work to be done, there is governmental compliance work to be done, and you just learn along the way that, okay, these are all part of the work, and how do you manage them and how do you delegate. I think I'm still learning the art of delegation. I'm very good at giving away work, but then I forget to look back and review back. And then once it's a deadline, it's like, oh my God, this didn't get done, but I gave the work, I thought it will get done. And it goes back to what I said. I expect that everybody else works like me. So I feel I'm still learning. As a sector, I am still worried. There are not enough women leading organizations, especially at scale. I read some article that said that there are 200 organizations that are 10 crores and above in this country. I was not able to find 20 women leaders in that. That worries me. That in 2025, there are a lot of women in the sector, but they're not really leading organizations. And I think that is something we as a civilization needs to be worried about, and we need to do something about this collectively.
Right. So from that, I think we'll be, wrapping up because we didn't realize it, but we've already reaching the half an hour mark to this conversation. But from that, if there is someone very young who wants to join and start their own not-for-profit, right? And let me be very specific: a woman who wants to do this, right? What would be your advice? What would be the one, especially don't do this suggestion that would come from your side, and one absolute must do?
Don't undersell yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. It took me a long time also to get there. I think it's conditioning that all of us, even with privilege, we do not have the kind of confidence that is needed. Or if you compare to a man, we don't have that kind of self-belief and confidence. So I would say work on that a lot. Must do is you have to work on yourself. It's a self journey. An organization is not separate from you when it comes to, especially in this sector, right? It's a journey. Your journey, personal journey, is as much as part of this. I can give it technical. I need to tell this technically also. Please don't start an organization if you're able to take over another organization, because there are a lot of organizations where they don't have a succession planning. They don't have a leader waiting to take. So I would say please don't, because of compliance and administrative work. It is much easier if you join an organization and start leading it, like grow towards leading it, rather than start an organization. It is in this current scenario, it is very difficult in terms of compliance, and there's a lot of work to be done. And the other part is, I guess, don't think of only this as part of your life. This is part of your life. It's not the whole of your life. So please do look at all aspects, because I personally also feel, whether it's family life, friends, hobbies, what all fulfills you, because I worry that sometimes if you're just placing all your eggs in this one basket, it will disappoint you. Social change is not easy. It's a very lonely, especially if you're leading, it's a very lonely journey. It's a tough journey. So when you have the low days and low times, you do want other aspects of your life where you can lean in. So that would be what I say.
Yeah, that's actually very beautifully put. Final question, Uthara. for what's the forward journey for Buzz Women?
Shut down in the next less than a decade. We don't want to be
Okay.
a big NGO running this. We want to be a movement of women. So it has to be Buzz Women movement. And that's the journey we are pushing towards, even in villages. We want women are already funding us, they pay it forward by donating. We want them to start using that money to run their own local organizations, their federations, having, and we hire also locally. So 40-50% of my team of girls is from the alumni of the Buzz Interventions. So we want to become a movement. Our model has been replicated by other organizations in 5 other countries. We want others to take the model, learn from what we have learned. I think we have hit a kind of a formula on this.
Mm.
So we would love for people to just copy it and use it and do it. I don't want to be doing this forever, definitely. Not as an organization. I want to be doing this as a gender advocate, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think we should have shown a model in 20 years of running this. We are already 13 years there. We should showcase a model and say, hey, this is how it works. And then it has to be run by the community.
Great. Nice talking to you, Uttara, and thank you so much for the time that you've shared, and also thank you for the work that you're doing with Buzz Women. And you just, actually, if you talked about your own evolution, but you are creating a revolution among rural women. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you so much for having me. It was amazing conversation. Thank you, Varsha.
Thanks.